Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Pickle-Ian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Henry the Commish Brick, and it looks like I'm flying solo today. We got Week 10 about to come upon us, and we got a lot of great stuff to talk about. Today I'm going to cover all the injuries around the NFL. We're going to talk about who to start, who to sit, and get your team ready to win a championship. We, of course, are always going to have the phone lines open today. You can call us at the show with any last-minute lineup help at call us toll-free, 877-511-1024. If you have a Skype line, you can drop us a line at 347-539-5402. Of course, you can always give us a hit right in our kick-ass chat room right here on Blog Talk Radio. We're going to jump right to the phone lines with one of our old friends, Jersey, in the house. I know Jersey's in the thick of things with a lot of different leagues. Jersey, welcome to the show. What's your question, my friend?
Hey, good morning. I have two quick questions. In my standard league, I'm in first, but to tie with somebody. I got Freeman and Romo. I traded out Smith for Freeman. So I got to figure, I got Freeman in and out. Do I stay with Freeman or do I go with Romo? And then my running back question is, in the standard league, I got Trent Richardson and on a bye, McFadden's hurt. So the only three options I have Sean Green, I have Andre Brown, and I have Taiwan Jones. Out of those three, I need two guys.
Well, I really like Sean Green. He's been getting it done. It's not a terrible matchup against Seattle. It looks like they can be run on. As far as Taiwan Jones, Andre Brown, guess what? I'm liking Andre Brown. He's definitely vulturing some touchdowns from Ahmad Bradshaw. He didn't practice all week. He's definitely not 100%. And I like Marcel Reese a lot better than Taiwan Jones in that game. So I'm going to probably go Sean Green and what was your other guy?
Andre Brown.
And Andre Brown.
Andre Brown.
Like Andre Brown a lot, yeah. I actually have him. I'm starting him in two of my leagues, as a matter of fact. So. Yep.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Yeah, because what I did is I had a guy offer me a trade. He wanted out Smith, Des Bryant, and Darrell Richardson for Freeman, and he gave me the choice of either Joaquin Rodgers or Sean Green, and also Kenny Britt. So I did it that way there because I really didn't need any more receivers because I have AJ Green and Reggie Wayne I start every week, so I needed an upgrade from quarterback, and I needed a little bit of running back help. Didn't know how far McFadden's going to go with Richardson out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like to pick up a Sean Green, too, especially in the playoff run later on in the season. He's got some decent matchups at the running back position. He's got Jacksonville, Titans on Monday night, and then he ends up at San Diego at home, so he's got a decent playoff matchup for you, so that's probably a really good pickup for you.
That's what I figured there. Now with the Eagles situation in Dallas, I have Romo, and like I said, Romo's killed me in this league.
Yeah.
My losses, I've lost by like 2 points because of his 300 yards, a touchdown, and 4 or 5 interceptions or fumbles have been killing me. Now I don't know what the Eagles are going to do, and Romo could put 350 yards up and a couple of touchdowns, or 350 yards and a touchdown and some interceptions. But is Freeman have any upside or some stuff on here? What do you like between Freeman and Romo in the standard league, so there's no extra bonus points in this league,
Yeah. You know what? I like the hot hand here. I think I would definitely go with Freeman. He's playing at home against San Diego, and he's been getting it done pretty well. He's been hitting Mike Williams. V-Jack's been getting it done. I think I'm definitely sticking with Freeman until Romo could find a way to turn around. He's got just as many turnovers pretty much Dallas does as the Eagles, so it's just junk on junk there, and I find it very hard to trust him. So I think I'm going to go Freeman on that one.
That's done absolutely all. Keep it. Hey, last thing in my kicking league, if a guy kicks 40-some yard field goal or 50-some yard field goal, you get some pretty good points. I have Hanson as my starter, and I also have Hartley. In both of my leagues as my number 2 kicker, because you have to carry 2 kickers. But Dan Bailey's available. Is Bailey a smart pickup to have since Dallas sputters? It seems like with Hartley, this offense seems to be down a lot in New England, and they got to go for the 6 all the time. So he's getting the 1-pointers. I mean,
right. You're nailing it right on the head. Hartley is a extra point machine. Where Bailey, you're right. Dallas is sputtering. I have Bailey in my top 8 this week. So against the Birds. So I think you have a shot to get more field goals. What's that?
You like Bailey better than Hansen to start this week? You figure Detroit's got Minnesota.
I actually have them right next to each other. I got Bailey just slightly over Hansen. So, I mean, if you already got Hansen, I think you don't got to go crazy for a kicker. I would stick with Hansen. He's got a great matchup with Minnesota, and they have been sputtering just a bit getting into the end zone. And I think you could count on him from maybe 2 to 3 field goals. So, what? Since you already got Hansen, I'd stick with him.
I'll stick with that. And the last thing in my PPR league, I did a great thing yesterday because in my receivers I always have Julio and Cruz that start, and I have Demarius Moore as my third receiver, but you only start 2. What I did is I dropped James Jones because eventually when Jennings comes back, Jones is going to be a thing. I picked up DeMarcus Murray. Somebody dropped him on Friday.
Wow.
And so now I have Forte, Michael Bush, and I kept Michael Bush because if Forte ever went down, Michael Bush is a nice plug and play, but hasn't done much all year, but it's good. But I have those 2 plus Ridley plus Ryan Matthews. Now I got DeMarcus Murray, so I'm 7-2 in this league. First, this is that PPR wacky league, and so right now I got Forte. Even though Ryan Matthews has a better matchup than Forte, I don't know how Matthews is going to be used with Turner. It's been kind of crazy the last couple of weeks. So I got Forte in there and Ridley. How do you like that? And did you like to pick up DeMarco Murray for James Jones dropping him? I mean,
that's great. Taking advantage of these guys that they're dropping guys that have been killing them, and you're just taking advantage. That's just awesome. It's great fantasy play there. As far as him moving forward, I mean, once he comes back, he's obviously the guy because they've been really struggling with that running game. So, that's good stuff there, Jersey. You're on it, my friend. You are on it.
All right. I appreciate it. I tried. I mean, you guys have always been good to me. When I chat with you guys during the week and stuff, and it helps me tweak little things here to see if we're thinking in the same. Having extra thought is always good. I say, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate the advice I get. Best of luck to you this weekend.
All right.
And we'll chat next week again. Thanks again for your advice, and have a good Sunday.
All right, man. Good luck to you. Thanks for calling.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
All right, we're going to go back to the phone lines now. We got someone from the 209 area code. Welcome to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. What's your name? What's your question?
Good morning. This is Sue. I'm from California. How you guys doing?
Hey, Sue. Thanks for calling. How can we help you?
Question. Yeah, I need some advice. I have Aaron Rodgers is on a bye. I have Aaron Rodgers on a bye, and I have Trent Richardson on a bye, and I need to. And then my other running backs are hurt, so I'm looking to pick up some players here. Now, do you think I'll tell you the quarterbacks that are available that I could pick up. I'm in a PPR league, and the quarterbacks I'm kind of looking at is I do have Matt Schaub on my team, but I don't know if he's a good play against Chicago. So there's Carson Palmer available, Russell Wilson, or Tannehill, and I'm kind of looking at Tannehill because of his matchup with Tennessee.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there, and that's not bad. But you know what? Palmer actually has a real good matchup against Baltimore. Their secondary has just been horrible. That's something you could really do well against Baltimore. Matter of fact, I got Palmer in my top 10 this week. Tannehill's certainly not bad. It's just that, because it's a great matchup. I see what you're saying against Tennessee. But you know what? Palmer's been getting it done. Even though he threw a few interceptions last week, he did put up 414 yards. I don't know that he's going to hit 400 yards this week, but he could easily get over 300 with Baltimore. He's definitely got the weapons to do it. Since the running game is without McFadden, without Goodson, I think they're going to be throwing the ball big time to DHB and Demarius Moore there. So I think Palmer might be a better pickup for you.
Okay, I'll just make that change. Now, running back. There's not much available on the running back selection. There's Pierre Thomas, Jaquie Bell, Felix Jones, and Jaquise Rogers.
Okay.
Those are probably the top. Oh, and Daniel Thomas. Those are probably and Jonathan Stewart. Those are probably the top guys that I see that are worth picking up? But what's your opinion on those guys?
Well, Pierre Thomas is a guy I do kind of like. I mean, it is a little bit of a running back by committee without Sproles in there, but he has been getting about 10 to 12 touches a game, and they like to get him in there at the goal line for touchdowns. He's catching the ball well, and I think you could throw the ball out of the backfield against Atlanta. They do have decent corners there, so I do like Pierre Thomas. I also like Daniel Thomas. He's been definitely vulturing some touchdowns from Reggie Bush, and he's almost been getting an equal snap count to Reggie Bush. So of everybody you mentioned, I do like them. Now, in the long haul, I do like this Jacquizz Rodgers if you have room on the bench to stash him away, because I think Atlanta's going to sew things up rather early, and I think they'll have home field advantage throughout the playoffs early, which is going to be good news for Jacquizz Rodgers. I think they're going to give him a lot more playing time as time moves on, as the season dwindles down, and I think it's a guy you could use during the playoff run with your fantasy team.
Okay, great. Now, just one last advice on tight ends. I have Graham or Olsen. Which one would you pick out of those two?
You have Jimmy Graham.
I take that back. Jermaine Gresham.
Oh, Jermaine Gresham.
Jermaine Gresham or Olsen. Yeah.
You know what? I think you got to go with Jermaine Gresham. The Giants have a really tough time covering the tight end. They're about 7th or 8th worst against covering the tight end. Last week they gave up 8 targets to the tight end. So I'm going to go with Gresham here. Although Olsen's not a bad play, I do have Gresham in my top 10. I have Olsen outside my top 10. So that's the way I'd play that one.
Okay, thanks for your help. I appreciate it.
Oh, Sue, thanks for calling, and good luck to you. I hope to hear from you again next week, okay?
Thank you.
All right, good deal. Okay. You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. We're going to keep the phone lines going. You can call us toll-free at 877-511-1024. If you have a Skype line, drop us a line, 347-539-5402. And, of course, you can always join our Kick-Ass chat room. Our chat room is heating up right now. It looks like we've got some questions going on there. We're going to get to them right after this break.
We're famous for our buffalo wings. The Piccalilli. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Piccalilli. Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself around here. If you can't stop in, stop back. Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend. If you can't stop in, stop back. The Piccalilli.
It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemung. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com.
I'm sexy and I know.
Car Toys, the most innovative car customizing shop in its class. Summer is here, and so's the heat. Better get that remote start so you can cool off in your car in style with your smartphone. Car Toys can install remote start on Mercedes-Benz, push-button start, and stick shift. Reduce that glare with the best 3M window film. And while you're at it, get your car detailed by Car Toys Detail Department so your ride looks, feels, and smells brand new. Car Toys defines what everything for your car really means, from TV to reality. That's why Car Toys is the leader in the industry in car customization. Car Toys' knowledgeable team are the best in their class. Like Car Toys on Facebook and check them out at distinctivecartoys.com.
Welcome back to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Henry the Commish Brick, and joining me, my longtime friend and fantasy phenom, JB. JB, welcome back to the program, my friend. I've been missing you.
Hey, sorry, man. Traffic was a little rough getting in the studio this morning, but we're here and we're ready to rock and roll, man.
As always, you've been on remote doing some last-minute fantasy stuff, always checking out with the players, and we love that about you, JB. You're that's why they call you the Phenom, my friend. Hey, JB, we have a lot of stuff to get to talk about here. Before we get into the injury report, we do have a question in our chat room. Let me run this one by it. It looks like this one's from Pagel fan. It says, "Hi guys, need a little help. Would you start Tannehill over Vic this week?"
Wow. Actually, I kind of like Tannehill. I did pick him up in a league to fill in this week. I had Schaub on my roster, and I really wasn't real thrilled about the matchup. And I actually grabbed Tannehill this week over Vic. To me, this is more. I am going to say yes, but it's not based on pure logic. It's just more based on a gut feeling. Obviously, Vic has the potential to go off at any time. He's a touchdown waiting to happen. I just really haven't been impressed with him, and he's kind of in my doghouse, no pun intended, this week, and for a little while until he proves me otherwise. So just more, call it a gut feeling, but I'd rather take Tannehill if they were my choices.
Okay, keep on going here. Would you drop Dwyer or M. Bennett to pick up Bryce Brown as a handcuff down the stretch, 14-team league?
Wow, well, depth is certainly important in a league of that size. However, I think that, if you have guys that are currently seeing the field, it's probably going to benefit you more than just kind of grabbing someone in hopes that somebody else is going to get hurt. So, especially in a league that's deep, if you got guys that are actually seeing the ball, I think you're going to have to stick with them.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. We'd love to keep the questions coming right here on Blog Talk Radio in our kick-ass chat room. You can also give us a call toll-free at 877-511-1024. And if you have a Skype line, drop us a line at 347-539-5402. We're going to go back to our phone lines. We have a question here from the 209 area code. Welcome to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. What's your question? Hello? Okay, I guess we have a little bit of little difficulties there. We'll move on. We got to get right into our injury report there, JB. Why don't you start us off? Who do we have heard? Who should we stay away from today?
Well, it looks like Percy Harvin's a game-time decision with an injured ankle, but from anything that I've seen this morning and any research I've done, he hasn't practiced all week, and it doesn't even look like they're going to let him test it this week. So as far as I'm concerned as of now, I think Percy Harvin is out.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He has been ruled out, reported by Adam Schefter at ESPN. I have Darren McFadden out with the high ankle sprain. Left the game last week versus the Bucs, so make sure you get Marcel Reese in the lineup because Goodson also out.
Yeah, and then Hakeem Nicks continues to battle knee issues. So if he can't go today, look for Cruz, Ruben Randall, and Dominic Nixon to fill the void today versus the Bengals.
Okay, Jake Locker, who has been out for eternity with a badly bruised shoulder, will start today over Matt Hasselbeck against the Dolphins.
Well, Calvin Johnson rested his knee all week, just like last week, and he is listed as questionable. We do expect him to play with a favorable matchup against the Vikings.
Okay, Darren Sproles continues to nurse his broken hand, so we will get to all enjoy another running back by committee performance this week with the likes of Pierre Thomas, Chris Ivory, and Mark Ingram.
Right, Pittsburgh running back Rashard Mendenhall will be out again this week. Look for Isaac Redmond to fill the void this week versus the Steelers and to run all over Kansas City.
Oh, that looks to be huge. I think Dwyer gets some big yardage in that one too, JB. Beanie Wells has returned to practice. Although they are on a bye, he is eligible to return, I believe, November 25th.
Okay. Brady Quinn saw another neurologist this week, so Matt Castle gets another start at quarterback, which is great news for Dwayne Bowe and Jamal Charles.
Okay, and then LaShawn McCoy did not practice most of the week due to an undisclosed illness. If he can't go, look for Bryce Brown to pick up the slack today. But actually, we just learned that the McCoy will be going today. So we also have one more injury that I want to talk about, JB. Kind of odd. I never heard of this one, but the Giants came out this week and said the reason for Eli Manning's poor play is tired arm. That's a new term I've actually never heard of. Tired arm.
Well,
so,
I don't know. You would think a man of his stature wouldn't have to bail out his own, the water out of his Hoboken home. You figured he could hire some people to do it, but I don't know. Maybe he spent all week after Sandy came through, pushing water away from the homestead, and maybe he's a little fatigued. I don't get it either.
Unbelievable, JB. Never heard of that one, but hopefully he rested the tired arm and will do better again this week. All right, the injury report was brought to you by FantasyPlayerExchange.com, the only place to go for multi-sport daily fantasy. Sign up right now. Play against me, the commish, in our Beat the Commish game. Every new account gets $10 credited into your account. It's only $2 to play each week. If you beat me, the commish, by the largest margin, you win $50. At the season's end, the person beating me by the largest margin will get $1,000. So sign up today at FantasyPlayerExchange.com. And I got to tell you, JB, I've been doing pretty well, too. 4 out of the last 5 weeks I've come in second, have yet to come in first, which means there's $50 out there a week for someone to win. And you're obviously, if you beat me, you're in the win the $1,000 at the end of the season if you beat me by the largest margin. So free money out there. Just sign up. It's $10, and they have all kinds of great games to play. It's not just football. It's more. They have basketball in there, NASCAR. When hockey ever gets going, they're going to have hockey in there. They're working on soccer. A lot of great stuff there at FantasyPlayerExchange.com. So check it out today. Really, really good stuff.
Well,
all right.
We love to bust your chops when we talk about this segment, and what a great thing that is. But like you said, you've been coming in second place pretty consistently, and I'm taking it more than 2 people have been playing every week, correct?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a pretty good amount of people that have been playing, so it's pretty good to see the turnout. We'd like the turnout to be a little bit more. But, I'll tell you what, free money. You sign up, they put $10 in your account. I've been playing in a lot of other different games. They have games where you can play just head-to-head against people to win money. They have free roll where you can just play for free and win some money. They have games where you can play just against a select 5 people you can win larger sums of money. So, you know what? It's worth it just to go in there for $10 and just start building and rolling that money as you win each week. It's really great stuff. So I've been doing pretty well with that, and I encourage everyone to do the same.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. When we come back, we got a lot more to go over. We have our picks of the week. The Fantasy Phenom. We'll be back with that right after this.
We're famous for a buffalo wing. The Piccalilli. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Piccalilli. Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself around here. If you can't stop in, stop back. Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend. If you can't stop in, stop back. The Piccalilli Inn.
It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemung. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
All right, welcome back to the Piccalilli Inn Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Henry the Commish Brick. Alongside me is 20-year fantasy football veteran, JB the Fantasy Phenom. I want to remind everybody to check out our website at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Sign up today using the promo code FANTASY and get 50% off our regular subscription rate. We're going to open up the phone lines right now. You can give us a call right here on Block Talk Radio at 877-511-1024, or give us a call if you have Skype. Drop us a line at 347-539-5402. And, of course, you can always enter our Kick-Ass chat room to answer. We'll answer all your questions there with any last-minute lineup help that you may need. JB, let's get into our Piccalilli's Pick of the Week. Why don't you start us off at quarterback? Who do you like at quarterback this week?
This week, I really like Josh Freeman. He's been on a roll, and Vincent Jackson would love to, run it right up the Chargers. GM Alex Smith, and the Chargers D is pretty stout against the run, so I expect them to kind of air it out and good things out of Freeman this week.
Yeah, I love Freeman this week. I got Eli Manning against the Bengals. He's coming off that horrible performance last week versus the Steelers. The New York Football Giants, led by Eli Manning, will bounce back in a large way, facing another horrendous secondary with the Bengals. So look for Eli to light it up.
Well, Matthew Stafford, he's worth a start this week. I mean, he's alive and throwing the ball, and the Vikings D is only average, and Calvin Johnson will be playing. So Stafford should get some decent production.
Yep, good start. How about Big Ben? I know you like this one there, JB. He goes up against KC Monday night. KC's got all kinds of problems, top to bottom. Romeo Crennel will probably be on the unemployment line with our beloved coach Reed at season's end. But Ben is home and easily will light up KC Monday night.
Well, you got Aaron Rodgers on a bye and no decent backup. A guy that we've already talked about a little, and the guy that I've picked up is Ryan Tannehill. He's been racking up some nice yardage, and the Titans give up a lot of yardage, and they give up a lot of TDs as well. So it's not a lock, but it's got a lot of good upside. And if you need a bye-week replacement, Tannehill's worth a nod.
All right, I got Philip Rivers versus Tampa Bay. They give up the second most fantasy points to the quarterback. Rivers could have a massive game today. This week, their Tampa Bay secondary, just horrible. We watched Carson Palmer throw 414 yards against them last week. Rivers could have a real similar game to him this week. All right, let's move on to the tight end position. JB, why don't you start us off?
Well, last week I touted Jason Witten as my stud of the week. Stud he was not, but he did, in fact, have 8 balls thrown his way. He caught 7 of them for 51 yards. He's getting plenty of targets. That's not going to change against the Eagles, who can't seem to stop the tight end. Really like Witten this week.
Heath Miller on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs. No Antonio Brown this week, so it looks like the Mike Wallace Heath Miller show.
I like that as well. I'm also going with how about Brandon Pettigrew, who seems to be doing well against the Vikings on a regular basis, and as we already like Stafford for the week, so that combination should hook up nicely.
Absolutely. Antonio Gates versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's face it, JB, Tampa stinks. Start him. He will get in the end zone.
My tight end pick is playing in a game that no one but the home fans will be watching. That's Anthony Fasano. He faces the Titans, and they are the NFL's worst team against the tight end. If you need a good one-week fix, go get him.
All right, I'm taking a page out of my ESPN co-host, the Professor's notebook. Start Chicago Bears defense versus Houston. They're playing better than anyone on the league, and this defense could lead them to a Super Bowl this season.
Yeah, 85 Bears they are not, but they are stout.
They absolutely are. All right, let's move on to the wide receivers. JB, who do you got?
Got Torrey Smith. He's got a good chance to go off this week against a Raiders D that's not too stout, and the Ravens may need to throw the ball to stay in this one.
Okay, I got a double wide receiver in one team. Roddy White, Julio Jones against the Saints. Saints secondary is absolutely terrible. Atlanta will absolutely exploit it with these two guys. Make sure they're both in your lineup.
Okay, on the other side of the neutral zone, Malcolm Floyd and the Chargers face one of the worst passing Ds in the game.
Vincent Jackson versus his former team, the San Diego Superchargers. It's a revenge week game facing his old team, who also gets the third most fantasy points to the wide receiver. Great start if you got VJack.
Okay, I also have Kendall Wright. He's a good bye-week replacement facing a Dolphins pass defense that's been among the league's worst in recent weeks.
All right, and then I got Brian Harline versus the Tennessee Titans. Great matchup here as the Dolphins give up the second most fantasy points to the wide receiver. I'm going to move on to running back now, JB. Reggie Bush versus the Tennessee Titans. Titans defense is bad. They give the third most fantasy points to the running back. So even splitting carries with Daniel Thomas, he's still a great start. But you know what? There were some comments made by Bradshaw on the on Fox, and I know he came out later and said they weren't really directed at him, but I think Bush is going to use that and turn it into some big fantasy points today. So I'm loving Bush.
Absolutely. I think Seattle today, they will release the beast. Marshawn Lynch should march right up on through the Jets' run defenses this week, and as long as he's healthy, you should keep him in your lineup.
All right. We talked about him earlier. Stephen Ridley versus the Buffalo Bills. They're coming off a bye, and he found success against them last time they played. I think he gets over 100 and a touchdown this week. And also keep in mind, Brandon Bolden has been suspended for substance abuse, so it makes Ridley a lot more nicer of a start.
Yeah, in the same game, I really like on the other side of the ball, C.J. Spiller. He seems to be back to full health, and the Bills want to beat the Patriots, and Spiller gives them the best chance to do so.
Okay, and I got Michael Turner versus the Saints. Saints give up the fourth most fantasy points to the running back. McCoy had 100 yards against him in the first half just last week, so he has a shot to put up some big numbers on this one.
Yeah, you can run all over the Saints. If you need some help, think about putting Jaquiz Rodgers in as a flex or a bye week cover. There'll be plenty of carries to go around in that game.
Absolutely. Okay, that brings us through all our picks of the week, JB. I want to remind everybody you can give us a call with any last-minute lineup questions. You can just call toll-free at 877-511-1024. That's 877-511-1024. If you have a Skype line, feel free to drop us a line at 347-539-5402, or you give us a hit right here on Block Talk Radio in our Kick-Ass chat room. You're listening to the Pickle-Ian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show.
I'm sexy and I know.
Car Toys, the most innovative car customizing shop in its class. Summer is here, and so's the heat. Better get that remote start so you can cool off in your car in style with your smartphone. Car Toys can install remote start on Mercedes-Benz, push-button start, and stick shift. Reduce that glare with the best 3M window fill. And while you're at it, get your car detailed by Car Toys Detail Department so your ride looks, feels, and smells brand new. Car Toys defines what everything for your car really means, from TV to reality. That's why Car Toys is the leader in the industry in car customization. Car Toys' knowledgeable team are the best in their class. Like Car Toys on Facebook and check them out at distinctivecartoys.com.
Fantasy Football, the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Join the Professor, the Commish, and Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry for the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Got a question? Call us. Who should you start? Who should you trade? Who's great? And who just plain The Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. On the web at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Yeah, kickassfantasyfootball.com. And every Sunday at 9 a.m.
I felt that one way up here.
Right here on 97.3 ESPN.
Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com.
Now is your chance to experience the new game that's transforming fantasy sports. Fantasy Player Exchange is a new daily game that allows you to compete against friends and fantasy foes for cash prizes. With FPX, you can select 5 players from any active sport. Sign up now at fantasyplayerexchange.com for your chance to beat ESPN Radio's Henry the Commish Brick and win $1,000 cash. Go to fantasyplayerexchange.com to sign up and play today. Remember, that's fantasyplayerexchange.com.
To the Pickle-Ian Football Show. The phone for me or my fantasy phenom friend, JB, with it's called toll-free at 877-511. Drop us a line, 347-539. Chat room is always open right here on Block Talk Radio. JV, we got a lot of bye weeks this week. A lot of teams on bye, I should say. Who are the guys you should make sure you bench? I know you got the Browns, Packers, Cardinals, and Redskins off. Who are guys that you make sure you got to take out of your lineup and put some other guys in?
Well, first of all, before we get into that, I just want to let you. I think you need to adjust your microphone a little bit. You dropped in and out. We didn't hear the phone number either when you came back in with the segment. But just so you know, make whatever changes you need to there. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have a lot of teams on bye this week. And, obviously, starting with the Packers, I mean, there's a whole host of players there alone that, is going to put an impact on a lot of people's teams, from Jordy Nelson to Aaron Rodgers. I guess their running game isn't too much to talk about, but, heck, even their defense has been pretty stout, and they're in the top 5. So, there's certain players you're just going to need to make sure that you find your bye week replacements for, or, dig into your bench a little bit and make sure you make those necessary adjustments. Actually, coming late into studio this morning, a little bit. I don't even know everybody who's on a bye this week. I am sorry to say.
So I'll give it to you. The Browns, the Packers, the Cardinals, and the Redskins. So obviously RG3 won't be in. The Butler, Alfred Morris will be out. Santana Moss, Leonard Hankerson. Cardinals would have, Skelton still the quarterback there. Powell and Howling splitting reps in the backfield. And Larry Fitz is probably the big name on the Cardinals. You mentioned pretty much all the Packers already. Browns, the big name is obviously Trent Richardson, obviously not playing this week. Flash Gordon out, Greg Little, Brandon Weeden. So just make sure you get them out of your lineup and get some guys in there who can help you get the job done. Having said that, JB, just let me repeat that phone number for all our listeners.
Yeah, please.
Last time, it's toll-free 877-511-1024. All right, let's get into some of our reaches of the week, JB. Obviously, we know there's some guys on a bye. We just mentioned them. Give us some players that you think might be able to help somebody that had somebody on a bye that maybe can plug and play this week and help somebody out.
I'm going to take Chris Ivory here. He's kind of an intriguing runner for the Saints, and with Darren Sproles being a little banged up and a little injury, he might even still be out there on some of your on the waiver wires, and Chris Ivory could definitely be a plug and play and kind of help you this week.
Okay, I got Jacquez Rodgers. He goes up against the Saints. He's catching the ball really well out of the backfield, and against the Saints, he can make some big plays. Love him here on a reach play.
Okay, I also like, we had a caller from California earlier in the show call up and say that Jonathan Stewart was available out on her waiver wire. Hey, listen, if he's going to be available out there on some of these people's waiver wire, I don't know, they said that he's going to be the man, that the running back by the committee is over, and, hey, look, finding a running back in Week 10 is pretty valuable, so if he's still out there, by all means, grab him.
Okay, I'm liking Jake Locker this week. He's finally healthy enough to play as he faces Miami today. Quarterbacks are throwing the ball an average of 46 times against the Dolphins. So if you need him, with maybe Rodgers or RG3 out, not a bad reach play as a starter quarterback for you.
Yeah, another quarterback that I kind of like this week. I don't know if he's really much of a reach, but I kind of like Phillip Rivers. He hasn't been the Phillip Rivers as of late, but we kind of mentioned going up against Tampa Bay this week, and we mentioned some of the receivers. But look for Rivers to have a pretty decent day against that Tampa Bay secondary.
All right, great stuff. All right, that's our reaches of the week. You can check out this information and a whole lot more to help get your lineup straight at our website at kickassfantasyfootball.com. We got a special going on for you right now. Now to the end of the season, if you want to subscribe today, we're giving 50% off our regular subscription rate. All you have to do is enter the promo code FANTASY, and that's at kickassfantasyfootball.com. All right, JB, this is a new segment that we just started just a couple weeks now. I'm going to throw out a name and some stats for you. It's our over-under segment. You let me know what you think. If it's going to go, they're going to go over or under for our fantasy owners out there. These are some names that we normally don't get to talk about on this show because we always like to reach deep and talk about maybe some names that maybe are not on some of the tip of everybody's tongue. But here's some mainstream players, and we like to know what you think. Will they go over or under? So we're going to start off with Tom Brady goes up against the Buffalo Bills. 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. Is that over or under?
Believe it or not, I'm gonna take the over here. The 3 touchdowns may be spot on, but I can definitely see him racking up some yardage. I really like Wes Welker, another guy we don't really get to talk about much on the show. I really expect him to have a huge day here today as well. And sometimes they just set up those little tiny screen passes or those little dump offs out of the slot, and they really chew away and they can get some yardage. I think that Brady will definitely exceed the 250-yard mark, and mostly in part due to Wes Welker.
Okay, how about we got Drew Brees versus Atlanta Falcons, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Well, you have to think that there's a good chance they'll be playing from behind, so the ball will be in the air a lot today. But 303 TDs is a lot to ask out of anybody. I'm going to say under.
Okay. Peyton Manning versus the Carolina Panthers, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Well, again, the 3 touchdowns is a lot to ask out of anybody. Carolina, the 300-yard game is definitely within Peyton Manning's realm of possibility. I'm going to say under on the 3 touchdowns, though, however.
Okay. All right. Matt Ryan versus the Saints, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Boy, who writes this? They were on a 3-touchdown kick there, JB.
Yeah, you're not kidding, right? But against that New Orleans team, that's very obtainable today. I'm going to give Matty Ice the nod. I'm going to say he goes ahead and he can reach them numbers.
Okay. Let's move on to wide receiver. How about Roddy White versus the Saints? 7 catches, 95 yards, and a TD.
That's, again, I really like Matt Ryan in this game. That's definitely one of his big targets. I'm going to give Roddy the okay with that one as well.
Okay. Marcus Colston versus Atlanta. 6 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown.
Well, somebody's got to keep them in the game. And, a 100-yard game and a touchdown out of Colston, that's attainable any day of the week, let alone when they're probably playing from behind. So, again, I'll give Colston the nod as well.
Okay. Mike Wallace, this is your guy, JB, goes up against Kansas City on Monday Night Football. 7 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Over or under?
Well, I'll tell you what, the only thing I would go under on here would probably be the receptions. The 7 targets for Mike Wallace, it's not really how they use him. They have other guys that they try to, to keep the ball going to possession. He is, however, their big play guy. I mean, he could get the 85 yards and a touchdown in one play from scrimmage, and not to mention he's a big target when you get down towards the red zone. The 85 yards and the touchdown I like. The 7 catches, that may be a little bit much.
So, no Antonio Brown Monday night. You don't think that'll add to his catches?
I think that Heath Miller is really going to step up, and Emmanuel Sanders. I almost made him as my sleeper of the week, but I found a guy that I really like even more than Sanders this week that filled that role for me. But I really think that Sanders is going to kind of help in that possession role along with Heath Miller.
Okay, so you like him with the yardage and the touchdown, maybe a little less on the catches.
Correct.
Okay, let's go. Brandon Marshall versus Houston. That's a big game this week, Chicago-Houston. 6 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown.
Everybody, I think, is looking at this game and looking at these two. Basically, they're thought of a lot more for their defense than they are their offense. For whatever reason, call me crazy, I think this is going to be a huge offensive game this week. I really do. I like people on both sides of the ball. And Brandon Marshall's no exception to that. And I really think that I don't know if they're going to repeat what they did last week. But, again, that's a lot to ask out of anybody. But I really see this being a little bit more of a slugfest. You got 2 teams that are 7-1, both going in feeling their oats and really wanting to make a statement. From here on out, they're basically looking at home field advantage shots for the playoffs here. And I think both teams are going to come out looking to make a statement.
Okay. You can catch all this information and a whole lot more right on our website at kickassfantasyfootball.com. We got the latest projections, injury reports, some great articles, who to start, who to sit, who to trade for, all great stuff. Check us out at kickassfantasyfootball.com. If you enter promo code FANTASY, you get half off the regular subscription rate. JB, let's move on to running backs. I know that this next one, we got Ray Rice versus Oakland. I know he's got to be salivating after what Doug Martin did to Oakland last week. They got him 125 and 2 touchdowns. What do you think, over or under?
Oh, well, Combined yardage, I could see it. Ray Rice, he's definitely a big, awesome part of this offense, and he catches the ball well and he runs the ball. So, those 2 touchdowns, again, they might not strictly come from the ground, but, look for him maybe to break a screen pass or even a short pass. So I'm gonna give Rice the over in this one. I think Oakland's gonna have that's going to be their bane this week, is trying to stop Ray Rice.
Okay. Speaking of Doug Martin, let's talk Doug Martin versus San Diego. 119 yards, 1 touchdown.
Well, I would be contradicting myself if I didn't say over here a little bit of let the cat out of the bag a little bit. Doug Martin is my stud of the week. I don't expect another 4-touchdown performance like he had last week, but talk about a guy that's, riding the hot hand. Doug Martin against San Diego today, who's generally stout against the run, but I really think he's going to go off. Considering he's my stud, I have to give him the over.
Okay. And then there's the beast, Marshawn Lynch versus the Jets. 100 yards, 1 touchdown.
I don't know what happened to the Jets. As good as a player as Marshawn Lynch is, I like him generally in any matchup. But the Jets just aren't playing the football the way that they are capable of playing football. Marshawn Lynch, we mentioned him also earlier. I'm sorry?
Right. So you would say Marshawn Lynch is would be a matchup-proof kind of guy to start on no matter what?
Yeah, I like Marshawn Lynch no matter what. And today, we spoke of him earlier today. I think he was one of our Piccalilli picks of the week. Lynch should have a beautiful day. 100 yards and a touchdown. I guess we're kind of thinking that's average for this guy anymore, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right on there, JB. Last running back, we got Adrian Peterson versus the Detroit Lions. 105 yards, 1 touchdown.
See, and this is one where I'm going to say the over and under here. I could see Peterson today. He may get a little bit more extra attention due to the fact that Harvin is out, but I really have a feeling this is going to be one of those days where he can get 2 or 3 touchdowns, but from 5 to 10 yards out. I'm going to say under on the yardage, but I expect him to see the end zone quite often today.
Okay, that's great stuff. You're listening to the Piccalilli Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Henry the Commissioner Brick, alongside me, Fantasy Phenom, JB. When we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines, 877-511-1024. If you have any last-minute lineup questions, we'll also go over our studs, duds, and sleepers. We'll be back after this.
We're famous for our buffalo wings. The Piccalilli. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Piccalilli. Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself around here. If you can't stop in, stop back. Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend. If you can't stop in, stop back. The Piccalilli Inn.
It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemung. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com.
Fantasy Football, the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Join the Professor, the Commish, and Fantasy Insider Matt Lowry for the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Got a question? Call us. Who should you start? Who should you trade? Who's great? And who just plain The Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. On the web at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Yeah, kickassfantasyfootball.com. And every Sunday at 9 a.m.
I felt that one way up here.
Right here on 97.3 ESPN.
Welcome back to the Pickle-Ian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I want to open up the phone lines if you need any help from our expert, JB, the Fantasy Phenom, or me, Henry Brick, the Commish. We're here to help with any last-minute lineup questions. You can give us a call, toll-free at 877-511-1024. If you have a Skype line, drop us a line at 347-539-5402. If you have a question, you can also hit us in our chat room, right here on Blog Talk Radio. It's now time to get into our studs, duds, and sleeper picks, JB. First, before we do that, how did we do last week? JB, how did you do with your studs, dud, and sleeper?
Well, last week my stud and my dud should have been reversed. I loved Jason Witten last week. He had the targets. He had the 7 receptions. He just didn't do a heck of a lot with them. He only amassed 51 yards and no touchdowns. So my stud played more like a dud. And I expected Chris Johnson to come back down to earth when he had to face the Chicago Bears last week, but boy did he prove me wrong. On 12 rushes, he had 103 yards and a touchdown. That was not dud-like at all. He really surprised me last week. And my sleeper, basically due to bye weeks, I told everybody to start Darius Haywood-Bay for a sleeper or a bye week replacement. He did fair. He had 5 catches for 74 yards. You know, in a bye week situation, I'll take that. I'll take the 7 to 12 points, depending on your format, whether it's a PPR or not. So, sleeper, I did okay. My stud and dud were horrible. How'd you do?
You know what, JB? I did. I'm going to say real good, real bad. Did real good with Ray Rice as my stud. However, I was way off with Doug Martin. You know, I was really looking hard at him losing his 2 starting guards for the rest of the season. As a matter of fact, I even traded him away for LaShawn McCoy in one of my leagues. So banging my head against the wall with that one. Didn't see him put up those kind of yards like he did last week. So really missed out there. My sleeper was Pierre Thomas, who obviously ended up to be a running back by committee situation. But I still like him, especially in the PPR formats. Now, before we get to our studs and sleepers, I want to go to our chat room, JB. We got a question from LSU Fanatic. He's in a PPR league. He has to start 1 running back, 1 receiver, and 1 flex. Now, it looks like he's got Stewart, Tywan Jones, Darrell Richardson at running back, Macklin, Ryan Broyles, and Jacquizz Rodgers also. So he needs 1 running back, 1 receiver, and 1 flex out of that. Who do you like there, JV? I mean, you just talked about Darrell Richardson of these 4 running backs that he mentioned. What do you think?
Yeah, he's worth a lot. Well, for the receiver, I got to give the nod to Macklin. He always seems to come up big in these big games. I know he's probably not listed as their number 1 receiver, but man, he sure plays like one when they really need a win. So Macklin is the easy choice for me as far as the receiver. It gets a little muddy at the running back position there because I like a couple of these guys today.
He also can pick up. I'm sorry. He also said he could pick up DHB. He is out there, but he also happens to have Denarius Moore, so he doesn't know if you should pick him up. You know, with having Denarius Moore at his starting lineup. Sorry.
Well, no, that's fine. No, Denarius Moore, I like him. I have him in a couple of leagues. I start him every week, and I've been quite pleased with his production. You know, DHB, I've been riding him a little bit this year, and I've been picking him when he's been healthy, but he really hasn't impressed me much. So, given the choice between the two, I still like Moore over DHB.
Okay.
Back to the other 2 guys to start. Well, Richardson's interesting, but personally, just on gut feeling, for the flex role and the running back role, I might go with Stewart and Jacquizz Rodgers here. You know, put 1 in as my running back and plug 1 in as my flex there. Because was there any other receivers that he mentioned besides Macklin and DHB? Was there another receiver option?
Ryan Broyles.
Ryan Broyles. No, I definitely, given them my choices, I like the running backs over the receivers. Definitely start Macklin, though.
All right, so we like Macklin and the 2 running back. Well, 1 running back, 1 flex. You like Rodgers, and who was the other one?
I like Stewart.
And Stewart. Okay, yeah, you did mention that earlier in the show. And you know what? I'm agreeing with you here, JV. I think I really like Rodgers as my flex this week. You got to go Stewart out of those choices because he is the guy and is starting and is capable of catching the ball well and running the ball well out of the backfield there. And they are playing the Broncos at home. I think that's definitely the play. And you got to go Macklin. He's a starter every week, regardless of the horrible play of Mike Vick and that offensive line. I think he's still a decent wide receiver there. So, okay, LSU Fanatic says, good deal. Thanks. Well, good luck to you. Thanks for the question. Keep them coming right here in our Kick-Ass chat room. We just got a few minutes left in the show, JB, and I know everybody's been waiting vibrantly for our studs, and sleepers. Who is your stud of the week, JB?
Well, like I said, I let it leak in the last segment, but Doug Martin is my stud of the week. Again, I don't expect to see the 4 touchdowns that he had last week. And San Diego's actually been pretty good at stopping the run this year. However, they're going to have to fly across the country, and they're going to be playing a game 3 hours earlier than they're used to. So I don't think they're going to have an answer for Martin today.
Wow. Got applause for that one. That's good stuff.
All right.
Okay. My stud of the week is going to have to be Matt Ryan versus the Saints. He could put up 350 yards, 3 touchdowns with all the weapons that surround him against that horrible Saints secondary. So that's my stud of the week. Now, let's move on to the dud of the week. JB, who's your dud of the week?
My dud this week is Jamal Charles. He's got to play Pittsburgh Monday night. I probably don't need to say more than that, but I will. He hasn't really looked the same over the past few weeks anyway, after starting the season really hot. Last week he left the game what appeared to be a head injury. He was cleared to play this week, but after this game I'm thinking he wished he wasn't.
All right, so Jamal Charles. Oh, I agree with you on that one. My dud has to be Matt Schaub versus Chicago. I think Chicago will have him shut down all day. Chicago's defense has been playing out of their minds. Definitely a Super Bowl-like defense, without a doubt there. So sit Matt Schaub. Hopefully you have a better option there at quarterback. All right, let's move on to our sleeper pick of the week, JB. You've been hot there, so I'm curious to hear who you have, too. Who's your sleeper pick of the week?
Well, I'm going to kind of throw in two. Like I said, I almost had Emmanuel Sanders. I actually did have him penciled in, thinking he was going to see a little more playing time this week for Pittsburgh as my sleeper. But in the absence of Percy Harvin, Jerome Simpson, look for him to see a lot more action this week, and this is another one that could prove to be, he could wind up with stud numbers. But I'm going Jerome Simpson today.
Jerome Simpson? All right, you got the Rocky trumpets on that one.
Yeah.
There. That's good stuff.
We're lighting them up today.
That's good stuff. All right, my sleeper pick of the week is going to have to be Marcel Reese versus the Baltimore Ravens. Looks like McFadden is a no-go, Goodson a no-go. I think Reese will fill in just fine with that Baltimore defense has absolutely been depleted and absolutely can be run on. So there you got it. That's our studs and sleeper picks of the week. You can get this information and a whole lot more if you go to our website at kickassfantasyfootball.com. If you enter promo code FANTASY right now, you get 50% off our regular subscription rate. We have all the latest projections. You can put your league scoring rules in, and we'll adjust projections to your league scoring. We've got the latest injury reports, great articles by all our experts on our entire staff. Check it out now. We do it all for a whole lot less than everybody out there. And we're right a whole lot more than we're wrong. So check us out at kickassfantasyfootball.com. JB, we just have a couple minutes left in the show, and I wanted to ask you about a couple matchups we have coming up today, a couple big matchups. I guess one of the biggest ones is this Houston-Chicago game. Who do you like fantasy-wise in this game?
Well, like I kind of hinted on earlier as well, this is one of those games that, a lot of times when you get two really good teams to play each other, a lot of times they wind up being those defensive battles. I don't know why, call it a hunch. I don't see that this week. I think both these teams have a mindset right now, and I think they really have a lot to prove. I think that, even though they're both 7-1, I don't think a lot of people are looking at them as a 7-1 type caliber team. And I expect them to come out today and prove that, but maybe not defensively. I really expect some fireworks out of this game. I say all your normal starters, not only do you start them, I think you kind of you're actually expecting a little bit more out of them this week. I expect a lot out of everybody this week. So, I don't know. It's a game that I think there's going to be a lot of fantasy production. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I like it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for our show this week, JB. You can catch us every Sunday right here on Blog Talk Radio at 11 o'clock. We're on from 11 to 12. You could catch some reruns of the show right on our website at kickassfantasyfootball.com. Also on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. on 97.3 ESPN.com radio. Check us out there. Tuesday night again, we got the Judge Ray Jaffe and Jumpin' John Prevost on Tuesday night. They do a waiver wire show right here on Blog Talk Radio from 9 to 10 p.m. Really great stuff. Don't miss it. They really help get your lineup set for the week and get your week started on the right side. All right, so I want to thank my co-host, Fantasy Phenom JB, for joining me this week. I'm Henry the Commish Brick, and I want to leave everybody with this. If you're not playing fantasy football, you're probably spending too much time trying to figure out why Mitt Romney lost the election. See you next week, everybody. Oh, hello? JB?